Hi, my name is Anitoza, and today I'm going to talk about nonverbal communication. Let's start with introduction of my audience.
My name is Ghanshyam. I work with Ali.
Hey, I'm Sahil. I'm a co-worker.
My name is Nandan, I'm his colleague.
I'm Pratik. I'm his co-worker.
Nonverbal communication is a really big part of everyday life for humans. Uh, every day, thousands of nonverbal signals are conveyed through your face, your body, your posture. Uh, Nonverbal communications are basically your posture, your facial expressions, your gestures, the eye contact, and touch. Uh, non, Today I'm going to talk about three main aspects of nonverbal communication, which is gesture, facial expressions, and touch. Let's talk about the history first. Nonverbal communication was found, I guess, in 1872 by Charles Darwin. He released a book called The Expressions of Emotions in Men and Animals. According to the experts, 93% of the communication is nonverbal. So pretty much everything, most of the things you say is nonverbal. Gesture is most commonly used one. Facial expression is the hardest to hide, and touch is the most physical out of all of them. So let's start with gesture. Gesture is the anything that you make with your body, like any kind of sign you make with your body parts. It's usually used to express your emotions, feelings, thoughts, and it's it's also used to show that your attitude, your acceptance, approval, deceptions. It's a really big part of nonverbal communication. Some of the gestures that we do every day is raising eyebrows, pointing, looking away, scratching your head. That like you do it every day that you don't even realize you do. So now let's talk about facial expressions, which is also similar to gesture. Facial expressions are expressing feelings through your person's face. It's a really major part of nonverbal communication. The main part about facial expression is your eyes. It's one of the smallest body part of human's body, and still it's accountable for a huge a medium to communicate. It's also a most dominant and most reliable part of the body to communicate. No matter where you go on the earth, it could be different culture, it could be different country, but eye contacts, facial behaviors and eye contact would be same, like being happy, sad, confused, amused is all gonna be same expressions no matter where you go. Since we talked about two of the most non-physical part as part of the nonverbal communication, let's talk about the most physical part. That's touch. Touch is the most physical part of the nonverbal communication. It's really important in a very strange way. It's by touching someone you can tell about information about the surface and the texture and how they feel and how they will react and stuff like that. Study of touch is called haptic. It's one of the first senses, one of the first and one of the most important senses that a human gets. By touching something, you will find out that how it feels and what is it called. So it's really helpful to develop other senses in your body. It's also one of the most misunderstood part of the non-verbal aspects, because shaking hands is kind of casual, kissing is friendly. Hugging is friendly, and kissing considered intimate. So sometimes they misinterpret what are they doing, and all kinds of misunderstanding get started with it. So before I start my conclusion, do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, do you think that non-verbal communication is more effective than the verbal communication?
Yeah, because I just showed that 93% of the communication is non-verbal, and most of the time you're not gonna say something, but your face, your hand, or your gesture is gonna show what you're trying to say, and that way people don't even realize it. They talk to people non-verbally, but it's a really big part of your everyday life.
Is there any difference between the sign language and nonverbal communication?
There is no big difference, but because non-verbal communication, if you add all of them up, it will turn into a sign language. But the sign language is only used for the physically challenged people. So, and the non-verbal communication is used for everyday people in everyday life like us. So that's the only differences between them. And so now I'm gonna talk about the conclusion. Non-verbal communication is conveyed through day-to-day life and every day. I also found a stat that you can generate 200,000 different signs from a human's body for like somebody standing right next to. So it is pretty big numbers. Some of the scientists also say that it could be up to 700,000 different signs of non-verbal communication. So conclusion: the gesture is the most commonly used and is really helpful in your everyday life. Facial expressions is pretty much what you do with your face and your eyes, and eyes is a really big part of your non-verbal communication. And touch is the most physical out of all of them, but it's also really important. At the end, lastly, I would like to say that non-verbal communication speaks louder than verbal communication.